Today you can see many cameras and lenses on the table because today I'll be talking about recommendations and I'll be talking about between camera and lens, which should you spend more on, right? I mean, this is something that plagues every single photographer in this world because most of us do not have infinite budget, so we really want to optimize the way we spend. I'm Richard and welcome to Zappy Productions. I have shot a lot of photos. I mean, I have did like 100 plus photo shoots last year. So in that process, I also tried out a lot of lenses and cameras. I mean, you can see a few lens and camera here. They are quite expensive, but that's because I run this channel, I enjoy myself, and pretty much this is where I spend my money on. But that said, if you have a limited budget, how should you spend your money? First I want to say is, the money is yours, spend it the way you want, buy whatever you need, buy whatever you want. Nobody have the right to say otherwise. But if you need some opinions, I think my video here can probably help you. Now, once again, this is a very opinionated video today. So if you are not interested to hear my opinions or don't like to hear opinions, please don't stay on this video. Don't waste your time and make yourself unhappy. But if you want to have some opinions to guide your buying decisions, I think this video should be able to help you. Now, first I want to say a little bit on personas of who this video is for. Firstly, this video is definitely not for the people with minimal budget. If you have a very, very tight budget, I think you should just buy what you can afford and enjoy the photography journey, because you probably don't have much choices and you should just buy what you think is the best at that price point. But if you have a little bit more budget, like say 6,000 USD, 5,000 USD, 7,000 USD, the kind of budget that you can only buy one camera and maybe 2-3 lenses, and you can only probably buy one good one out of these 3-4 items, I think this video will really help you. While if you have a lot of budget, well, this video, treat it as entertainment to see what I tell you, and then just go and buy whatever you want anyway, right? So, camera or lens, which should you spend more? Now, traditionally, most people will say spend more on your lenses because that is what that makes your image quality, most of the time. But let me show you this chart first. I'm talking about cameras now first, right? Now, cameras' image quality is quite obvious. It depends on your sensor size. I will not change my opinion on this, and that is an APS-C is always weaker than a full frame, and a full frame will always be weaker in image quality than a medium format. Physics is very, very strong. It is hard to break physics. And I know some people say, yeah, in social media you can't tell a difference, but not everybody do not crop their photo. Not everybody uses their photo straight out of camera. Some of us may want to crop, 20-30% crop. Some of us may want to push the shadows, add a bit of artistic flair to it, edit the photos, right? All those require image quality. The quality of the sensor output is important to do any form of manipulation and any form of post-processing. So APS-C will always be lower than full frame, and full frame will always be lower than medium format, purely from physics standpoint. Now, I'm assuming that all of them are very similar generations, because if you're comparing a sensor 10 years ago, of course, the newer sensor, even though it's smaller, may beat the 10-year-old sensor. But given the same generation, they are quite similar. And as such, I would say as during the APS-C range, between the low, cheap APS-C and the high-end APS-C, the image quality is very minimal difference. Similarly for full frame, the cheap full frame sensor versus the high-end full frame sensor, if there's a difference, it's because the cheap full frame sensor uses last generation sensors, and the high-end full frame sensors, there's a dip there, and that's because it's using stack technology, and stack technology normally underperforms compared to its non-stack technology ones. So you can see that image quality-wise really depends on the size of the sensor itself. Now, when it comes to performance, however, it's a bit different. It's a bit more linear. The more you pay, the better it is. But it's bounded by the sensor itself. So if you stay in APS-C space, if you pay a lot of money, you get the XH2S. High performance camera, better than a lot of full frames out there, except for AF accuracy, still a bit lacking. I would say still a bit lacking. But if not, everything else of the XH2S is fantastic. Fast, quick, big buffer, shoots really, really quickly, clears their buffer extremely fast, right? And cheap APS-Cs are really slow, really atrocious, lousy screen, everything you can think of. Now, full frames being always more expensive starts way higher than cheap as APS-C. As such, even the cheapest full frame isn't that terrible. But there is a sweet spot in performance for full frame, and that's where you enter the A7 Z6 R6 series, which is what most manufacturers try to sell you anyway. That's the point where I feel the performance is good. I mean, compare the R6 II to the R5, performance is negligible difference to most people. Similarly, for the A7 versus the A7R, negligible performance. If there's any difference in performance, it's because the R5 has a CF Express, while the R6 do not have a CF Express. That's about it. And really, the difference in performance there, quite minimal. The only time when performance changes is when you enter the high-end, high-performing cameras, such as the Z9, the A1, or the R3. Then performance will increase at the cost of some image quality. So you can see in this chart itself, it's very obvious where is that sweet spot. I will not say it first, but you can see, and if I was to label all the cameras below there, which I think where they lie in this price to performance kind of chart, you can see where am I heading to for cameras itself. It's very obvious, right? So let's first talk about lenses before I recommend what to buy or what I think if given a budget, I will buy. So lenses, on the other hand, is not like cameras. It is always growing. Better lenses are always more expensive. Better lenses are always more expensive. I think that given the same generation means a lens with no more than 2 to 3 years difference in manufacturing, pay more always gets better so far. But there is a point where you notice that things start to plateau, and that's what we call as diminishing returns. And that's because for lenses, there is third-party lenses. And most of the time, lenses are separated by aperture rather than the image quality itself. There are very high-performing 1.8 lenses for primes, for example, such as the Nikon 1.8S, or some of the Sony 1.8 lenses, or the 85 f2 from Canon. They are very high performing lens that only weakness is not being 1.4, right? And they are more affordable most of the time than the Sigma premium lenses. And then we have the Sigma premium lenses, which is the Art series, be it DGDN or standard DG. They are very, very good in image quality, and they don't cost a lot of money. They are good, no doubt. Now, there is still some slight image quality improvement. I always felt that first-party lenses, so far at least, tend to cut less corners. When I mean cut corners is because if you deactivate the auto corrections, you can see some of the third-party lenses, especially Sigma versus DGDN, a lot more distortion, some softness here and there. But the difference are very, very small. So that's why my image chart is almost plateauing, because there is really not much difference. In performance-wise, I think the high-end first-party lenses do perform better. They're usually more accurate, slightly more responsive, smoother and quieter. And that's because, firstly, they use native communication. Secondly, they cost more, so they do have slightly better internals most of the time. You can really hear it and feel it when you use first-party native lenses. They're just so much smoother to use compared to a lot of the Sigma lenses itself. And then there is one point that you will have improvement, and that's when you enter super telephoto range, which is very expensive, very costly, but do give you some improvements there. So you can see for lenses, where's the sweet spot? It's much lower than cameras. So let's go back to camera first. For camera, the sweet spot is very obvious. The A7 R6 Z9 point. It's very obvious. That's what manufacturer want you to buy. But if you look at my chart here, you really can reason to yourself why this is the sweet spot. Good amount of performance, good amount of image quality. You lose megapixels only, right? And at full frame, really, at that point, the difference is small. And then if you look at lenses, well, lenses sweet spot is a range and it's much lower. I would say it's between the high-end non-premium lenses and the Sigma or Tamron third-party lenses. this is the range I would recommend you to spend your budget, given you have a limit, right? Because those lenses, firstly, they perform very well and the image quality is very good. Yes, you can get better image quality and better performance. A few percentile difference. Is it worth it? I'll leave it to you. But if you are limited in budget, this is where I recommend high-end non-premium lenses such as the Nikon 1.8 series or something like this Sigma Art series for Sony system, the DGDNs. So putting all of this together, really, you'll buy one relatively good camera that is still expensive, but not the most expensive. In fact, significantly cheaper than the high-end full frames, you know, about 2,000 plus, 3,000 USD. And then for lenses, for the same price, you probably buy 2 to 3 lenses. 3,000, 2,000 USD, you can probably buy 2 to 3 lenses and then put them together as a system itself. Now, why do I recommend more on camera is also because camera is the constant. All your lenses go onto the camera and modern lenses are good. As you can see in the chart there, this is really how I feel. Most of the modern lenses are good. So the only determining factor of image quality at that point is really your camera. Unless you can spend super a lot of money on the lenses, I think camera will be the one that determines your image quality in terms of dynamic range, in terms of noise, in terms of color. The only thing a high-end camera gives you is megapixels, but you know, I say most of us don't really crop 50%, even I don't do that. I can live with 24 megapixels most of the time, but I really want to crop my image a bit. I just want to rotate, straighten things out. So I still need the pixels. Not like I totally don't need it. And I still need to zoom in, edit the color and stuff. So a full frame is still, for me, compared to APS-C. If I'm just traveling and I'm shooting in a country with very good light, I think APS-C can make it. If I'm shooting in studio with everything perfectly controlled and I can use almost straight out of camera photos, I think APS-C is the one. If I shoot group photo, I'll still prefer APS-C though. But really, when it comes to image quality, I still think full frame is the way, and the ability to manipulate, crop, and post-process your photo the way you want, I think full frame really gives you that flavor itself. No amount of lenses can solve that problem. I mean, today post-processing is very important. So really, lenses, I would say I'll spend similar amount of money on lenses and camera. But if let's say the budget was to shrink to like 5,000, I'll still spend 3K on my camera and 2K on my lenses because I can buy 2 lenses that are good. Not the best, 2 lenses that are good, and I'll spend 3K to buy the camera that can get me the photo I want, that can be manipulated easy and produce great qualities. And really, that's about it. I hope this recommendation helps you. Once again, these recommendations for people who can buy 2 to 3 lenses and 1 camera, but only can spend money to get 1 good one and average for the rest. This is the target audience I think this video is for. And I really hope this really helps you in your decision, because a lot of times everybody will say that camera is better than that camera. But if we were to really put it on a chart and ask ourselves if we want to rank it, how will it rank? I think this is how I will rank and how I will recommend. If you just ask me straight off nowhere and say what is the camera I recommend, I would say R5, man. R5 is great. Fast, quick, and you know, shoot in mechanical shutter, fantastic image quality. But really, if I was to put it on a chart like this, I'm going to pay 2K more for it. Is it the best and wisest choice if I had a limit in my budget? If I only had 6,000 or 5,000, should I spend 3.5K on my R5? Or should I spend maybe 2 K on my R6 and then use the money to buy 2 good lenses or even 3 good lenses? Because lenses are affordable now. Good lenses are affordable. So this is really the dilemma most of us face. And I think this video, once you put it on the graph, pretty much I think can help some of you guys there. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, comments, or even opinions, do put down in the comments below. Do like and subscribe. I'll try to create more videos. I know I've been slacking recently, but I just want to make videos that are more useful these days. Still thinking what to do. If you have any idea of what I should post, write down in the comments below too. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.